Should we take our first step?
Jumbo, Jumden, Bisi, Sebo, and Jumbo, Yana, Barazobe, Sanjer, Tuatan, Shazundem, the Ora Shebo, Jidin, Kimba, Gibu, Palo, Girwalana, Nepalana, Jumbo, Sanje, Jumden, Begawa, Shagya, Tubola, Shaza, Judo, Jazo, Jero. Jumbo, Jumden, Bisi, Sebo, Jumbo, Yana, Barazobe, Sanjer, Ribodo, Jazo, Demba, the Ora Shebo, Jidin, Kimba, Palo, Yuba, Lana, Jumbo, Sanje, Jumden, Begawa, Shagya, Tubola, Shaza, Lord, Judo, Jazo, Jero. Jumden, Bisi, Sebo, Jumbo, Yana, Sanjay, Ribodo, Jazo, Demba. Devara Sheba, Jidin, Kimba, Jibu, Lubi, Kalo, Yuba, Lana, Lana, Menamke, Jumbo, Sanjay, Jumden, Begawa, Shagya, Tubola, Shaza, Judo, Jazo, Jero. Kande kanye zo jitande sajende la padam murne mane jede ma chochen song teze ke ba ke la ja zalo nanda kuma chote sutangwa ise kya so serge lambora taba jede tumna la mewa kumbo kyule ke la ja senjo tembo shime dawe Sendo Rawa Gala Tendra Kendra Ziva Suma Nyame Keji Kyapa Shaza Gombo Tuji Chitembo Damsi Kipe Dombambo Sona Yenden Gyazu Jin Dejin Shiva Shaza Tabe Ducha Shava Giri Gibe Nidon Lecho Chidu Dungan Jigirba Shigyu Jala Rone Rove Nayandur Daban Shigir Damba Yudin Din Layan Deba Chiyam Meja Shigir Wapan Sobar Gir Rangi Seni Yonsu Dene Sange Yambayim Karma Ravi Mamedan Gyoma Seba Shukurda Milan Lodan Chinda Vudi Jishuna Dedaruda Sunan De Tanche Zipayi Kokan Trune Kyungam Radha Gadan Dada Jive Laju Singa Sobe To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When the supreme among humans who were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to dustness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, for that dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. a star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the fall of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by waves of aging, sickness, and death. Tombare nambare yanda pare jesu tao so tomba ni su so le tomba ni shemaye tomba ni le kyanzo shemaye no dejen do toa da duje da number sheba nam tomba shari bo te da chu tamje tomba ni de sini me ba ma ke ba ma ga ba lima me ba chema da tewa me ba ga me ba o shari bo te da we na tomba ni la zo me solva me duje na me na be sheba me mi me na me che me du me yi me su me tra me li me ro me re ja me cho me lo mi ge ga me ba ne Yige number shebe kamge bardu yame do mariba seba me bane kashi sebe bardu yame do deshindo donga wadang kunjung wadang kobadang lame yeshe me toba me matoba yame do sharibu adida wena janju semba nang toba mebe chir sherage bardu chemba lati teji nete sanlar triba meji traba mede chije rode shigo tene debe thar sindu du sundu number shube sangi tamji kyan sherage baru du chimba la tene lana me ba yanda bar zobe chanju du mumbar zobar sangi so te sa wina sherage baru du chimbe nga riba chimbe nga lana me be nga minyam badanya be nga dungle tamji radu shivar shibe nga mizu wina demba shivar jate shiraje baru du chimbe nga me ba taya da gade Ode so ma achere bu chanju semba semba chimbo de dar sherab je paru samola la ba chau ene chomde de denge sin de sende chanju semba semba chimbo baba chere se wanchu la le so she jawa chene le so riki bu de shino de shin Jida juge temba shindu sherage parudu jimbo samola chebar jate Deshin shabanam kyan jesu yirongo Chomden dege dege cheka tsene tsedan temba sharada depuda Semba shimbon baba shile se wanshu tan chamjidan tembe koru dedadan Adam midan hama yindan Risa chebe jine yirande chomden dege tumbaga mubere tando Thus I have heard, once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgriha on Vulture's Peak, together with a great assembly of monks and Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was totally absorbed in the concentration that examines all phenomena, called profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, "How should those of good family learn who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond?" Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, "O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, to look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is no other than form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, recognition, karmic formations, and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these, all the way up to the sphere of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these, all the way up to there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all Bodhisattvas hold to the wisdom gone beyond. And because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond falsity, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times by relying on fully and clearly awakened, have unsurpassed, most perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the wisdom gone beyond, the mantra of great insight, the unequaled and unsurpassed mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering should be known as the truth, for there is no deception. The mantra of the wisdom gone beyond is proclaimed, Hayanta, Gante, Gante, Para, Samgate, Bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should learn the profound wisdom gone beyond. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and praised the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, saying, very good, O son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom gone beyond should be practiced exactly as you have said, and then the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the noble Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering, and the world with its gods, men, anti-gods, and spirits, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. So ends the noble discourse on the essence of the wisdom gone beyond.
Yeah, that's 보고 네 준주고 있다. 준주고 있다. 당하는 준주고 있다. 한국에 다 창조고 있는 러비아 또 냠내 치고야 돼. 창조 자세 창조 생기 저벌 러버 쳐야 돼. 그래서 다 딜러버 쳐봐야 도마 알아서 파게 방법 토준고 싫어. 그거지. 셰버지. 아니 창조고 싫어기 아니 퇴배 되는데 맞제벌 수화 아니 왜 답을 채워주지? 아니 니네 랑지 양승용이라 그러면 양승 왜냐면 또 제부터 왜 그러다가 건중기 로 그래서 건중기 더 내렸다. 그래서 건중과 가가 많이 그냥도 된 아니 냠내 시셔봐. 어디는 저거 줘봐서 그랬지. 냠내 나오래 손지.
Now we are the Thursday instruction in the way of the Bodhisattva. The way of the Bodhisattva is the endeavor to produce the mind of awakening, and the practice is entailed in this, in the charya of engaging the way of the Bodhisattva, is to listen, to develop the wisdom of listening. And from that listening and the meaning derived from what one has heard, one strives to consolidate an understanding of the meaning one has heard, to preserve that understanding, and then to instantiate the understanding so as to come to possess the result of that understanding. And this is done through meditation. Therefore, the listening that is studied, the contemplation and the meditation are integrated into one practice. And this is a practice intended by the way of the Bodhisattva.
오예, 그 말하면서 뒤중간도 용다를 제발이나 그다음 먼저 지. 바게다 토마토로 고추네 되네 아침에 로가 지금 전부 탈로가 다 퇴해요. 그나시 토마토라도 하게 마신 바 셰베 집에 지도를 로가를 버티네 야치는 다 토르를 로가 되네 다 랑그 제고에 타마 로좀 차단 신네 랑그 제고다 내가 가리는 빼는 멤버 로좀 제시하는 멤버도 냠주는 대주당으로 근데 이제 총고도로 로좀 제시하면은 총고도를 냠수하는 총점 계산량으로 대나신 거랑도 다들 준주도 냠수하는 준주로 당부 승계 값으로 나도 찬주 셈 많이 개버체 또배 저선 것도 냠수랑네 퇴배 냠수랑네 배 무슨 귤을 개버체 나한테 다들 요시 바르마 숨게 나는 찬주 셈 개버게 아니 다 간데서 다 보자고 숨고래 가리숨 두고래 어디서 걸었다 냠는 제하고는 요 바르바숨 아니 요 타마숨 어떻게 난 냠수랑야 배 나 찬주심 줄을 깨버지 깨베지 아니 그 냠수랑야 천도시에 지도는 요 타마숨이 오면 레소노지
냠슬라야로.
다 냠수랑서 서로 라렌다야
It's the very same as how one begins in elementary school and their primary school and progresses through middle school, high school, and then through university. It's a progression from a lack of education through a series of education programs to full education and ultimately graduation from university. And when someone has studied medicine, then they graduate and can practice medicine. Or when they've studied business, they graduate and then they can practice business and come by profits. And it's no different here in the practice of the way of the Bodhisattva. And the first three chapters are dedicated to developing the mind of awareness, of awakening where it hasn't yet arisen. So one studies and contemplates in order to develop that mind. And then when the mind of awakening has developed, then the three relevant middle chapters of the way of the Bodhisattva for the preservation, the guarding and the protecting of the mind of awakening that has arisen. These are the middle three chapters. And then the following three chapters are the instantiation of practice of the mind of awakening.
럽네 저서 저밖에는 도박해낸 거라고 제가 다다나도 가를래서는 딱 누구 봐봐 디나는다 누구 시바 바요기 누구사 바요기 누구세야 되다 자주 sem 깨바디 수송 투그래 간데서 송고래 어디 저 디니나는 내 야 단단한 바요기도 송고요 해서
In the first three chapters, for the development of the mind of awakening, that mind of awakening is of two forms, aspiration form and engaged form. The first, the aspiration form, is the development of the mind itself. And then the engaged form is the practice connected with the formal vows that are taken, the vows of the Bodhisattva. Following this, we find ourselves in the fourth chapter, the chapter on conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is concerned with who is it who protects this mind of awakening where it has arisen? And how would one preserve this mind of awakening that has arisen? And we find ourselves concerned with these two then in the fourth chapter on conscientiousness.
Oh yeah, 그게 이제 맞다 잔주쌤 아니 나랑 줄라 깨바데 마냐바 다 가리 탑시 가르쳐서 송고 다 송해야 돼 아니 가리지 송은 바요 돼 송고 밤에 세바이나 아니 잔주쌤 송 두고 매봐 바요바 때바이나 아니 잔주쌤 송 두고 여봐 다 되게 뜻이 좀 여래서
When the mind of awakening has arisen, in order to ensure that it isn't violated, what is the method available to us? The preservation is possible through guarding the mind with conscientiousness. Where there is conscientiousness, the mind of awakening is sustained. Where there is negligence, it is not.
Oh yeah, that 간다. 아무도 된제기다 바유 때문에 송 투구 여바다 장주선 게 율라게 바유 송 된제체 강가다 가르쳐서나다 간다 원도 미기 고만데 맞었나? 아니 다른 바이오 때한테 누가 영향을 자연 거라 요 말에 제가 딱 말한걸로 다음에 때 쳐버리지 뇌대 쳐버리지 쌤대 쳐버리지 또 되게 되어버려 제가 다른 가서 자주선 깨버쳐야 깨는 송 투야 자기 차상 참여게 아니 고급 상부들을 해서
Through conscientiousness, one is able to preserve the mind of awakening. Now, when the mind of awakening is present, much is possible. But nothing is possible without the basis in the human precious human body. Without a precious human rebirth, there is no conscientiousness to employ. There's no basis for it. But with the precious human rebirth, the body, the mind that are exceptional, one is able to practice conscientiousness. But without the precious human body, there is no development of the mind of awakening. It is a requirement, the precious human rebirth, for the mind of awakening and the practice of conscientiousness.
이거 뭐야 딱 한달 가는 거랑도 딱 다른 레직 톱에 대조고 밀루서 다른 레직 톱에 대조고 밀루톱에 때들아 아니라는 게다 이거 보면 요 두벌 세베게다 라멘데 침마투바 있나 아니 라야 아니 대도 톱에 하시나 카보를 이나는 대조고 밀루톱에 카보를 제가 대대 달린 다 밀루 제벌진데 간다 랑진다 냠수 랑마 제투야 자기 차상 상황을 제가 내버도 제거를 이 마체바 이나 아니 디네 파 치페도 야송도 제바 이나 아니 고급도 쉬어야 해서
The precious human body that has been inherited now this one time, and it is a one time that it has been inherited here, must be put to use for the abandoning of non-virtues and the adoption of virtuous activities. If one does not do this now in this one moment of the one-time precious human rebirth as inheritance, it is difficult ever to secure that precious human rebirth again without the basis in the human body which provides all that is required for practice. Without this, and when one does not use it to ensure that one again achieves a human rebirth, one finds oneself fallen into hell realms where one has finally lost the opportunity.
얘들로 토약에 탑체에 파시는 얘들세에게 명성에 토야 카바래 그래서 근데 이들도 마땅해 손만 얘잖아 아니 탑시 가는 요 말에 지자를 지가 제 요 말에 달랭아랑도 탑시 지투야가 차지 유배 주주들을 그래서 또 나랑도 주주기 요 야도다 마도기 상상을 내도 레데어를 달랭아도 봐야 근데 야도 도 먹어 야도 하면서 마도 먹어야지 and 다리 차단 지투가 고요를 해서
When one is born into hell, there's no possibility for great fortune of a heavenly rebirth or a human rebirth. That opportunity is lost. Not only is there no pathway out, but the word good fortune itself will be unheard. When one is born into the hell realm, the opportunity has passed. There's little more to be done. And so now we find ourselves in the moment of great opportunity where all that is required and necessary for greater fortune is present for us. We're at the cusp where one can ensure one's upward progress or one might slide precipitously downward. It is a crux we have found ourselves at. We can ensure increasing good fortune, or if we fail to do this, then our fortune is in the hell realms. So we must prepare now, understanding this.
Oh yes, that and they do and they that enjoy one of the melody and tobati any yango the toya member to go imba and they can race that delay long that the condition and man to see your response.
Now, with the basis of the human body that we have now, the difficulty of ever securing it again is presented to us through scriptural citation and through logic.
거의 다 그래서 롱근나는 프로그램도 된다고면은 아직 간단히 가고 있는 주제는 그 농도 거지단다 더 된지 니래 다 뒤나는 다들 준주고 뭐 된주 나는 된주 망부 요리네 다 준주 코란 그냥 아니 공도사게 더 되는 좀 되겠다 송거 좀 되게 송거 임바대 아니 다 공사사도 지금 그상이와 이제 그거 같은 시대와 이제는 좀 되게 자주치 냥신기 그거를 제주다 미니 토바 신도 미니 신도 톱가 송세비와 뭐 이게 안 가져도
그래서 안 해도 오버서 저는 이해 가서 봐대. 토파르카와 이노 시송바.
시소도
라. 이 kil마다. kil모다. 조랑갸다. 종아.
어디도 있어.
The scriptures of the Shastra and the Sutra. Last week we mentioned there are many Shastra commentaries, many sutras. Here we draw from the Shastra that is the way of the Bodhisattva. Here in the way of the Bodhisattva, mentioned is the sutra where the Buddha says, "O monks, as it is difficult for a turtle to surface and thread the hole in the yoke, so too is it difficult, exceedingly difficult, to achieve that human rebirth."
이거 뭐야 제자다 가르치나 당연하죠. 좀 되게 콩나 또는 간데스차서 다 빼자는 소리를 야수 다 빼자도 좀 야수디단 코로와니디 빼자려래. 그 야수다 코와니디 빼지자. 아니 야수체 냥신디다 아니 산지기 때문에 빼자래. 아야 보가지 봐서 보가를 생겨. 보가지 봐서 이게 리자래. 보가디다 캠로 빼자라고. 루베디다 수수 빼자래. 어제다 디베들이 잘난 뜻이 경고여래서.
Now the scriptural support here is the word of the Buddha, which employed the metaphor, the simile of the ocean. The ocean, samsara, is like an ocean. There is a yoke on the surface of the sea. That yoke is like the teaching of the Buddha. The teachings of the Buddha are like that yoke. The yoke has a hole. That hole is refuge. Going for refuge to the Buddha. Going for refuge to the Buddha is the hole in that yoke. And there is the turtle in the sea. That turtle in the sea is you.
어야 다 근데 이것마다 나도 가르쳐야지나 다 당고 야조디 아니 코아다 빼자고 간리세 야조디 하장기 빼 자첨부 띵사부 가다 빼다 직대적인 니즈 요반나시 나도 코아디 아니 하장기 야조 나시 아니 띵사부 자첨부 어디도 요바디 숨고요래서.
The ocean is deep and vast. Cyclic existence is deep and vast. That depth, that vastness of cyclic existence of samsara, the ocean resembles. So the ocean, deep and vast, is likened to samsara.
Oh yeah, that just what I'm going to that's a jig temper the Yangshin Peja, Yangsel Yangshi Joro, Serg Yangshindi, and the Sanjik temple Peja. Any Sanjik temper that when you peck and this Chagarsna, Yangshindi, any that other Tambo did that, this has one, Yazu did on Koani Peja. That Yazuna Yangshin Serg Yangshi Yoba Dita, Sanjik temper Peja. The Yangshindi, and the Karjirisna. 자전하러 아니 초직을 되게 많다. 샤를 농게도 누를 끼고 누를 농게도 샤를 끼고 그래서 그 찍을 되게 매번 봐도 누구여가 나시 산지에 땜바 대한 지든지 감 찍을 되게 여만 지든지 산지에 거 지든지 처음에는 될 땜바 내게 봐도 산지 맞춰서 로봇들 산지 때문에 얘기 봤으나 그 사자를 지부점이 가수 가다 산지 가와 중국의 딜을 때문에 우리가 그랬다 비단 양식이다 보니 배송 말해서
아니 ser 기냐싱 좀 ser 더왜
그래서 그 설이 되시고
싱 말어 ser
세라
The teachings of the Buddha are likened to a golden yoke. Now, first, samsara has been likened to an ocean. And on the surface of that ocean, there is the golden yoke. A golden yoke doesn't stay in one place, but is tossed back and forth by the waves, sometimes moving east, sometimes moving west, always in motion. It isn't in one place. Just as where the Buddha visits is not every place. The Buddha visits in a place, and afterward the teachings remain there, and then the Buddha appears in another world, and the teachings are there, always moving. So the golden yoke on the sea, always moving.
Oh yeah, that you see, 양심 뒤길을 보고서 오군지 요바디다. 아니 jamru니 배쳐 말했어. 제가 보다 배간데 처음 봤으나 다 그거들나라야 뒤야 오군초도 산제되면 산제기 때문에 주게라 곧 오군초도데 아니 jamru 차대요. 그래서 jamru 보고 양심이 길이 그외에 고주서 동바저와 뒤초도 jamru 차대서 산제기 때문에 주발에 jamru면은 아니 산제 때문에 주투 말을 지나신 아니 보고들나라 고주 추가 야 주사그 고주서들아 보고들라 아니 거기 고주고 봤으나 산제 때문에 고주야지 아니 jamru 공에 비고 진짜 jamru도 오군도 배자래서
The opening in the yoke is refuge. How is it so? How is refuge here likened to the opening in the yoke? The head of the turtle threads that opening in the yoke. It is only by threading that opening that one enters into the yoke. It is only by passing through refuge that one enters the teachings of the Buddha. Without refuge, there is no entrance into the teachings of the Buddha. Now, the turtle's head goes through that opening, threads that opening, and is in the yoke. And so it is through refuge one enters the teachings of the Buddha.
Oh yeah, that near Rangda, Rube did make long in Basharwa. Jasuna, the young Rube, big long in Basha, big long, but the run personas. As a cop me long in the court can Tongubara Marazulaya, and in Dokanda Mishibe, Mumba Wanga. 아니 내룩 통을 로 매바이자 아니 내룩 통이 로 매바이자 로한테 배자를 해서
맥 통역이 로드면은
나 콜다 베텔라 미요 매버와 이나 지금 나랑 가리요 봤을 때 미매라는 것도 지대는 미요 저와 나도 가리요 대신 내룩 통을 로요 동반이 통을 로요 맞아서 배자를 해서
The sea turtle is each of us. That sea turtle is blind. The sea turtle cannot see, just as we cannot see. What we cannot see is suchness as it is emptiness, as we are benighted by avidya, ignorance. What we cannot see is suchness as it is emptiness as it is. We are blind. We are the blind sea turtle.
Oh yeah, that under that 도도로 봤을 때 가면은 야소들 하선 자체와 있는 코어데 하선 자체와지. 그거 찍어서도 야 거야 주사디 망보이나야 맞아 라와자 망아요. 뒤에 그거 오군 찍어도 매이다. 라와자서 찍어도 매봐. 그냥 그초 찍을 되게 여봐이나 아고 초 재진 거예요. 초 찍을 되게 여면 가사가 더디고 야면 더디고. Oh yeah, 대안에 뒤즈디 배 따와니만 그 뒤즈 강조 되는 거 거기 로자자를 찍으면 야 되고요 말. 대대 대하고 미기 로한테 되지. 어다 되지기 아니 미주지기 미게 로안이바 아니 거기 양신데 사제 초 지금 되기면 대 고에就是오군 지모도 매봐 대야배 사제 취지모도 매제 사제 전부 자손나 전부 이거도 되를 따네 아니 다고 양신이다 그 진관이 채바就是이 미시바를 빼 자로로 왔어 되게 비스가 되게 갈래 가고 이봐 되래 아니 나랑도 달래 사장 만들 예배 밀루디 아니 빼 되래장 아니 신도 니가와 체가와 와 되지게 사무당 걸 해서
So to put it succinctly, cyclic existence is vast. The ocean is vast. There is one access point, one entrance to the Buddha Dharma, and there is the one hole, the one opening in the yoke. It would be one matter if, and a different matter if the yoke were always on that sea in the same place, and then one could search for it and thread the hole. But it is always moving, tossed this way and that. It would be a different matter if one were able to avail oneself at every moment of that yoke on the surface of the sea, but it isn't so. It's every 100 years that the turtle surfaces. Not only that, but the turtle is blind. So in short, that yoke on the surface of the sea is always moving. It doesn't stay in one place. It is always in motion. It isn't in motion in a small sea, but a vast sea. And it must be that the sea turtle's neck threads the whole of that yoke that is tossed on the vast sea. And seeing it this way, we see that it is all but impossible that this would happen. Even more so is it rarer, all the more unlikely to imagine a scenario where we again achieve a human body as the basis for practice.
제가 달랭 안하고 켜고 밀루디 아니 다 된제기 배 간다 nye 가고 체 가고 된제기 배 강에 그 시부지가 라하고 된제지 임바도 무엇이면 거네 달랭 밀루디다 자친구 이거 무엇이면 거네다 장주 생각 그냥 러보고 와다 러면 장주 생각 빌라 많이 봐 뚱투야 다디 냠네 지투와 뒤 된다라 냠네 뒤 된다라 빼디 숨고요 해서
What does this metaphor then inform? It informs us of the difficulty of achieving the human body as basis. It is exceptionally rare, the encounter with the precious human body. It is exceptionally hard to come to possess. Understanding this then, understanding its sacredness, its value, then one knows that one must use it appropriately. One must protect the opportunity that it ensures. This is what we learn through the metaphor. So the metaphor is made for us.
Oh yeah, that is 공도 도사 좀 되게 송당도 배송당도 좀 공도 이제 다 되네 다 되는 공도 이제 이번이나 아니 다처럼 되려야 이제 유에 이제 대가라 요걸 이제 현다 여러에 이거 여러에서나 이거야 여러에서 다 유에 공들라 아니 가서다 네 공들라 다는 주주 리치 오마 송아 이제 디베 장스 개번 남에 내주나 통만 통매 코어스 통매 코어 사기기 연구면 그 지면 보여서 어디서 나 야 지금 나도 继续news.
Machina, da geo machina.
이만 되어마. 기지 이거 다가지 와.
동어 파메라 줘라. 다기 셈라 네이션도. 알레 덴로 민로 뮤지가. 그래. 계직직이 아주. This then is the scriptural basis and how the metaphor of the scripture is interpreted. And then you might follow. One may follow this with a query. Are you confident in this? Is this reasonable? Does it follow by reason and argument? And it does. The 21st verse. If through the evil action of a single instant, I must spend an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain, the evils in samsara stored from time without beginning, no need to say that they will keep me from the states of bliss.
Oh yeah, 제자다. 당부디 찌기데 찌 당부디 기지 디베자스 기지 제베 디베장스. 하다다 기직세데 기직센다가 주요 기직자당 담아고요. 기지마데라 뒤대 기지마스 뒤지 담아기 기지마 자조지 기지마스 당고 어디지 뭐야 그래서
In the first line, if through the evil action of a single instant, the instant is mentioned. There are measures for the instant, the moment, and those measures may be the moment that is the limit to an instant, and the instant that is the moment of the event of an action.
Oh yeah, 제가 기직직체세에 단다 기직마데 땅도 자조지 기직마 자와직조베 기직마스 그냥 자와직조도 기직 통다직로 거고래서.
Here we mean by instant the moment of the passing of an event, and we mean of the event the shortest conceivable length of time for that event.
Oh yeah, 맞아. 자조지 기직마스 빼져나가 샤바이나 나 기부터도 된바지기 심부터를 주지. 그래서 나고 심부터기로 딱 나고 심부터기로 들리지라 난 자조 기직마 뒤에 들리지 쓰기 어려서 나고 심부터.
The interpreter steps in to remove inconceivable from the preceding interpreting. Then here, the instant of the completion of an event. This instant, that is the completion of an action or of an event, is measured in the scriptures as a strong person snapping their fingers. In the passing of time of snapping, a strong person snapping the fingers, this is the instant of the completion of an action or an event.
Oh yeah, 말하는다 뒤에 계속 시도이나 가르쳐 직스. 뒤에 가만히 나는데 second 직스로 가르쳐 직스. 또 딜레야 계속 직스. 그래서 통쇼기네 명의사네. 아니 자조지 계속 마스 명의다기 어려서.
So this, the second that's in the minute, this is a shortest measure of time, a short measure of time for the instant that is the completion of an event.
Oh yes, that 뒤 찍라 제베 아니 디베 장스 디버 디지 가만 찍라 제베 디버 기스 아니 개와 개바스 그sam마다 뒤 로탕가 야모투에 뒤 명지로 개바스 뒤 렌쇼트 기직마스 뒤 통쇼트 어디서 뒤 통쇼 찍라 제베 아니 디버 찍이 아니 뒤 렌쇼 개바 봐서 녀바를 내고 되게 내가 결국에 연나스 배자래 손으로지.
So then the shortest span of time, say a second, when this second's non-virtue causes one to spend an eon, and when we use the word eon, we mean a span of time that is uncountable, the longest. sort of measure for time. When a instance non-virtue causes one suffering that is an eon in duration. So when a shortest moment's non-virtue causes an longest moment's duration of suffering, this is the comparison.
제바 직스도 어저 빼는 어저기 비중 어저 되셔도 미지 직스도 게네 마시바도는 미지 직스 명달도 와 대나신 어저고 로직네 로자바도 드럽 직스 명달도 와 대나시 전불리 차네 제마 직동 양주 고모 차고 고모주고 바돌라 주주는 부조라 딜라야 켈바 직스 명달이 어려서.
Now an eon, this span of time, this duration is, think of a person's birth to their death, from the first year to the 100th year, making a century. So from birth to death for a human lifespan, from the first year of a century to the 100th year of the century, from the beginning of the creation, production of the universe, through its final phase of disintegration and finally voidness, through these stages, one full round of stages is an eon.
that in the Hindu that bed gig chebe, 이거들 배전하는 주진 가르쳐 요르스나 배나 창주 셈바지 창주 셈비 냠네 진이 직 라스 아니 세컨 직 랑게 마가와체 콩도 제가 이나 아니 랑게 디기 대부들라 아니 개베 봐도 남의 녀와를 내 보고 예나 어두스 뜻이 야래서.
An instance non-virtue. Here in the text, what is the example of the non-virtue? It is a moment of anger toward a Bodhisattva, one engaging the mind of awakening. If one is momentarily angry at a Bodhisattva, the result of this is an eon's experience of suffering in the Avicii, unremitting hell realm.
근데 여기 유나스 윤재창 아니 말아줘라 아니 가리어스는 호모 매반네 아니 사베디바 가장 top 첨부 망보 이제 디바 요레스 아니 다 디바 된데 요바 인자 아니 다 덴돌 거야 나가 가네 요레 덴돌 두고 말에 디바티기 왕기 아니 덴돌 마케와서 겐돌 겐송을 끼기래 제가 덴돌 드라이브 나가도 요 말에 겐송을 끼워 치기래스 어디 숨고래서.
If it is so, that is, here is our reason. If it is so, then for us who have from beginningless time accumulated innumerable non-virtues up until the very present moment, and that is a massive store of non-virtues that we have. If we have accumulated so many non-virtues, how could we imagine that we would have a path forward toward greater fortune? There is no path leading upward to greater fortune for us, having accumulated so many moments of non-virtue. In fact, what lies ahead for us is the experience of hell realms. There is no path forward to greater fortune. Ensured are our births in hell realms.
yes, 세단다 디바 기직직 제베 디바기 녀와 나메를 내 보고 예나 아니 가서 제가 통화해 받는 사베 디바 요래 아니 가르치는 게 손을 두고 말해 내 손을 두고래 대도를 두고 말했다 저어디 렌들 제가 나랑 주고다 사베 디바 나를 사베 디베기 달래 톱 첨부 망부 요래 제가 디바단 디베기 레 디기티 님부 톱지 맞었나 아니 딱 간다가도 식디 뭐서 간다가 식디기 대신 뭐서 잡주 잡아 나서라 공도 기지직이 녀와 두고 얘는 아니 맞을 통면에 사비 녀와 tom나 디와래 일단 여성을 두고래 대도를 두고 말해스 식디 뭐서 때는 슈라다 디바 디버탄 디베기 사베 레데다 님부 또지파 매버 마셔나 아니 단 예송을 더하마도 대로 더 매버 뭐 슈를 땡기 요래서
A moment's non-virtue necessarily causing an eon's experience of the unremitting Avicii hells. When this is so, it must be for us who have from beginningless time accumulated non-virtues certain our future in hell. Why not? Certainly it is assured. How would there be a path to greater fortune? It is so because of the preponderance of non-virtues, the many non-virtues for which we are responsible. And we haven't applied antidotes to these. Failing to apply antidotes to these, certainly we will be born into hell. When a moment's anger ensures an eon of the Avicii hells, certainly our accumulated non-virtues from beginningless time prevent us from any greater fortune and ensure that we will be born in hell. Now, implied in this is that we have not applied antidote powers to our non-virtues. When we do not do this, certain is the experience of the hell realms. Certain too is the unavailability of a way forward to greater fortune.
아니 다 콜마 수 안한도마 콜에 깨디 라완친 깨와 말에 라완 매버친 콜에 깨와래 라완 매버친 콜에 깨 중에 수에서나 아니 주 아니 한다 디바타 디베기 레 니기 줄 디바타 아니 렌지 친니 레 니기 아니 콜에 깨 주고 요래서
Also any tipati, any chicken, any play. No.
디버스 좀 디버디 가서다 디로 도제 다 단진다. 단진다 만진도 샤나 디버디 디샤. 에 디기 사다 레요와 레니 디기 아니 가서 코알라 말로 하면 거주고 요와.
What forces this upon us? What is the agent causing us to be born in hell? We don't do so voluntarily. We aren't born there voluntarily. We are born there without freedom. So unfree, who is it that forces this? That which forces this is non-virtue, grasping at the ostensible self, identity view, and attachment, and the negative karmas that they cause us to engage in. These, the non-virtues and the negative karmas, force us into births in hell. The non-virtues that would be abandoned won't be recognized as that which must be abandoned unless they are introduced. The notion of applying antidote powers to non-virtues will not occur to one unless one understands that non-virtues are to be abandoned. Without understanding that non-virtues are to be abandoned, one will not engage in the application of antidote powers.
Oh yes, you must have been people buying your money, you can't forget. You put them to a people bang to Mare, people bang to a and any language you never can't do it. Never take one. 제단에 망야 손을 튀고 그래서
Without the application of antidote powers, there's no elimination of the non-virtues. Without understanding that the non-virtues must be eliminated, one will not apply antidote powers. This will leave one continuing to accumulate faults, and by the force of the accumulated faults, one is led again into hell.
예. 이 오만주번은 어제 때 오늘 로벤도 타버렸다. 코알이 마을 줘야다. 야용해니 빼대. 수중이 죽었어. 한번 하시더라도 다게 되고 수중 차다 나오면 가지고 수중을 죽을지 아니 막 한박이 나가지 마다야 콜 점점 쪼져. 이마 코알 마다도 저거 치고 말이야. 그러나 신만 도셔. 야 텐도 잡았다. 그 수국이 bakale 마무 자고로 왔다. 디나 신경 주고. 수중 주고 막 둘을 막 도와라. 아니 가다를 파게 갈래도 매워 주는 강에 매워 까지 매워서 막 도토고로 어디나 신만한도 레도 미모고 왕게 공부체를 오게 아니 코알로 막 코레라 왜 라마 매워 코토고레스 야 코알은 타르와 채워라다 갈래까지 마무 자리마다 타투고 말해서
In the Madhyamaka Avatar, entering the middle way by Chandrakirti, the ease with which one falls into the lower realms, the difficulty of extricating oneself from the hell realms, is illustrated in a metaphor. Thinking I, desirous attachment arises. Thinking I, self-grasping arises. Thinking mine, desirous attachment arises. And in this way, sentient beings revolve as though upon a water wheel. In that water wheel that sinks the bucket into the well, it is easy enough for the bucket to sink deep into the well. It is another matter, the difficulty of drawing that bucket back up out of the well. Easy enough to fall into the hell realms, exceedingly difficult, requiring great strenuous effort, any project to extricate oneself from the depths of that well. So it is by the force of karma and klesha, one falls quite easily into the hell realms. But only through exertion is there any possibility of extricating oneself there.
뭐에 따라서 시대부터 전다도 되는 말사데 레기 디바 레기 레 망보여봐 레 되게 니버도 뽕고여봐 이 뽕을 때 니버도 배고여봐 어디냐면 되게 어려서
다 식시디네 오만라 죽기 식시
말에 지금 내가 준주
Now the verse is imploring the necessity of abandoning the non-virtues and striving to abandon non-virtues. This is the effort made by the verse.
도대체 다티네 이거다 당연도 동에 렌직니 som당도 선배나는 년도 동에도 살직니 양사나 아니 거기다 내가가 세게 아니 당연도 연기 찍기 말해서 이제 여바이나 대양 대비 말했어. 아직 년도 맞지 깨잖아. 아니 내 한달 나라도 내 할로 망고 내 망고 사셔야 내 손도 깨워 있는 양조 거는 내 사기 여바인데 아니 내 손도 동에를 내라고 타려야 매봐. 어디 그지 시야가 지도라. 아니 주주 지기 주장이 봐. 대점 코는 용줄네. 되네. 남탈 미줄 때 대달되는 용시도 디버신다 라도 깨스 어디 숨고요.
Now one is born into a hell realm one time and then another time, and one might think thereby one's negative karmas will be exhausted and that one won't need to be born into hell again as a result of their negative karmas. But it isn't so. It isn't so. When one is born in hell by the force of innumerable negative karmas, in hell then again more negative karmas are accumulated. To emphasize this, the 22nd verse, and mere experience of such pain does not result in being freed from it. For in the very suffering of such states, more evil will occur, and then in great abundance.
Oh yeah, that's not the limitation. I can get into that. Other under the city tragedian to the Jamana January. That was the people de la Digi that are the same young station. Then you send the power cutting on the Digi.
Now we will conclude the instruction in the way of the Bodhisattva here and continue with the explanation of this verse next week, and then we will pick up again here our investigation of the minds and mental factors, in which we began our consideration of intention, the mental factor of intention.
Oh yeah, that was the Simju Sembasing. That's Simju Sembasing. This Simju of Tajik Nane. That's Simju Kecho. Similar one Mangshu Chituni. Sim Kawaii Yang Ko Yamdo Yogoni. Oh, Simju Guru in this chat.
Now, of the 51 mental factors, this intention is a primary one of great importance, as it accents and accentuates the mind everywhere present as a omnipresent mental factor.
Oh yes, Simju Samba. That's Simju Samba singing the same guitar. It's a Kanda, same Kande Yulapa, Kande Juku Yume, same Kandesi, Yulapa, Judan, Juku Yume, and Simju somebody Chigi or Resons.
Now, how the mind engages an object, how this engagement occurs, whether it does occur, can occur, this is determined by intention.
Oh, you call it Nanglos, the Tendo China, and 2 years, make it to the river, so Samba Chixi, now to the river, Samba Yigi to Onga Shebanga Yora, Onga Shebanga, Yi Sheba Chigi, oh, they do soon make it to the river, Chume Samba Ne, Yigi to the river, Samba Batos, and it's about 2 years.
So, within intention, there are 6 forms of intention, as there is primary consciousness connected with every one of the 5 sense faculties. Therefore, for every one of these primary consciousnesses of the sense faculties, there is 2, the mental factor of intention, so 5 there, with the addition of the mental consciousness and intention connected with the mental consciousness.
Oh yeah, the true shade, Dushela, your Dushela, make it to the level to Dushi. Now to the Dushela, your Sambala Niga to Chiba Java response.
The Yardenero, and this is no different in the 6 kinds of intention, from the 5 primary consciousnesses of the sense faculties to including also the 6th, the mental consciousness. No different from discrimination, which has its 6 kinds, the discrimination of the 5 primary consciousnesses that are sensory consciousnesses, and the additional mental consciousness with its attending discrimination.
Oh yeah, that is not called the Sambatilla. Sambatilla is Korangi Cheleg Sanitana. The Penamazo Triore, Sembeleta, Sambeles, Sembeleta, Sambeles, Neo, Sembeles had it, Sem Korangi Ton, Chelechijo, Le Carina, Sembeles. That Semba take it, lady Lungadi on my turn. Lungadi led on my shoes on Sambeles, or the Ini or Resons.
No.
Sembeleta, Sambeles.
No, that is not. Intention is of a further two forms: intention, action that is intention, and action that is intended. Action that is intention is the intention of the mind, involved in the mind, when the intention of the mind informs action that is physical, that is verbal. These are the action that is intended, and these make up the other form of intention when we speak of intention according to function.
Oh, yes, Sambele, easy. Penang to you also, the Miguel Chu, the Pajan Shebaina. Miguel Chula, the Shebana, Miguel Chu Nani, Magi, she, any Luigi, Sumiwa. Oh, the Luigi Sum leg lady, a lady, any disorder, Sambele. Sambele is also some Sambele in the
Isn't the Ludanga,
Lunagi lady or Lunagi lady, Sambele. Or the Yi Kurang layer, the any Sambeles or the moderate lessons.
Now, when we speak of non-virtues that are 4 which are verbal, 3 which are physical, these verbal non-virtues, physical non-virtues, these paths of action of body and speech are intention that is the action that is intended. These are the action that is intended. The mental intention is the action that is intention.
Oh, yeah. That didn't give all a job, give all a Mardi going to stop at the Gio de la Shi, Luigi going to Gio de la Shi or Gio de Sum, or the Sumbo did, and he there is Sambele. Yi going to stop at the Sumiro, Yi going to stop at now some notion lotus to the Yorwa. Is that is Sambele Ransi Mata Sambele, Lelam, Lemo Mare, Lelam, Leg Lamis, or the legs Chabate Station or resonance.
When we apply these to virtues that are physical are 3, virtues that are verbal are 4 of these 10 virtuous paths of action. These, the physical and the verbal are the action that is intended. The action that is intention are the 3 other forms of virtuous action in this case, the opposites to covetousness, maliciousness, and wrong view. These, the mental non-virtues. Their opposites are the action that is intention of the mind.
Oh, yes, that Sambele, yes, Artubusuna, and the others. Matuato Chena, Yawas Comtona, and young Paget, Omja to the Malaya for Sajima, what's hungry or response.
If you are able to straighten these out, and you have no confusion regarding these forms of intention, then when you meditate, all that's required for successful meditation will be present.
Oh, yeah, leg, that is the leg is a Tedana, to the middle of the jagged resonance. And the thing you are the Chedama is doing that later than 6. And send them you will do later than this middle your resonance.
Regarding action that is intention and the actions that are intended, there are various positions taken by the various philosophical tenet systems, the Prasangika with their respective perspective on action that is intention and action that is intended, and the Chittamatra and the Sautrantrika perspective on action that is intention and action that is intended.
Oi. And that the Rajumba to Jula, Rajumba Jula, lay your in a sebele to your sebele your sabele your response.
For example, in the continuum of an arhat, there is karma. There are karmas, but they are karmas that are actions that are intended, and not karmas that are action that is intention.
And the president carriers and Mongeli Puyora, Tajuba, Sherry Putter, the Monge Monge Pu, Koran cultures, Koran to do things in and Yawar marching to somebody, Buddhi temple, Yawar get to gay over the Koran. Forget tone, jail, the money Koran, Buddhi somebody, Koran, Lam Korea. They make Jeju to the letter, Buddhi church at the Machers, the Chevina. And all the things on Bungama, young doors, land good land the hotel. I mean, I only Mongebu, Mule led, around the teacher to Europe, Modiva teacher to lunch and Modiva church, you may do and after the land goes on slave. That is the man called the Sunny. The Mongebu, Yidata, Yidata, Kamala was a proper check. Yidashira to Jatan.
The Mutapati, and the Shariputra, the Mugagibo, and the Lap Cheva,
and Sheribu on that Mongebus to law in New Marwa. Sheribu Zegashim, the money Pagania, you do the money, Mongebu, Butan Sarda, Slava Kamboka, Hazara, and Sheribu to Chugul Martin, Chugul, Pumu with the Lava Kawa, Ever killed. Ever killed when you can do Tokyo, to do them or ask her.
Sula,
Sheriff Mongebula.
Mongebu Dromando.
Dromando, never had and Mongepu, Ma, fear the Pasha, one dear Temas, to do there to the Temas on that. The day you did about that, I think was a Dutch Mala. Stable lay over leg on the other corner, Saba, your Marwa. Your mother, Saba lay over them, but yes, once. Stable Somebody you.
Somebody and you don't like it's a lot of
civil lady, or do not civil lady you.
There's an simple lady,
Member lady on your marriage one. There's somebody lady and you're going to sign it before. And you're going to solve your money.
There were the disciples of the Buddha, Shariputra and Madhyalayana. And one day Madhyalayana, who had mastered magical emanation, transported himself to the hell realms, and there observed the non-Buddhist heretics and a particular non-Buddhist heretical teacher who was experiencing the torments of hell that were the consequence of their heretical view. And that heretical teacher, seeing Madhyalayana, pleaded with Madhyalayana to relay a message to his disciples in the human realm. Take the message that you mustn't practice the teachings that I promulgated, because I am suffering the unbearable consequences of those misguided teachings. Relay this message to my disciples in the human realm. The Tirthika, the heretic, asked Moggallana. And then when Moggallana returned to the human realm, he found those disciples of the Tirthika, the non-Buddhist heretic teacher, and relayed the message. They became angry, and then attacked him, severing his limbs and severing each of his arms and his legs, and he was cut up, all cut up and cut apart, and didn't return to Shariputra. Shariputra was alone, didn't meet Moggallana, and so went out to search for Moggallana and found Moggallana in a heap of his body parts, and collected those heaps of body parts into his robes, and asked Moggallana, why is it that you who have mastered magical emanation didn't magically emanate to address this? And Moggallana said, it didn't even occur to me to do so. And this illustrates that in the continuum of this Arhat Moggallana, there was no karma that was the action that is intention. There are only the karmas that are actions that are intended. If you understand the difference between action that is intention and action that is the action intended, then you will have clarity regarding this mental factor of intention.
Oh yeah, that's new samba singing the Tedesura, new samba, that's new samba model the data check. And it that the Jamada on the St. Jude Samba Jella, request, Rebata, Samba Nibudi, Chile, Desmato, Chidan, Puni, Tauto, Yimbala, is Kaba your response.
Following intention is the mental factor of contact. Beyond a slight difference in the function of contact, there are resemblances between intention and contact, but there are nevertheless there are differences as well.
Oh yeah, that's in June the other Samba Desha, which another. The two doesn't use Yilla Chabatan, Simju Samba Nibuti, and Chile, Kanda Kuni, Yulu Chukan test Medamado, Chidan Jaudo, Simuka Chile, Jao Yubala, and Simju Samba Digi, Sim Kanga Chion me what I would say, Chidan of me what I would say, Rebati, Sim Chidaba me what I would, the Lizzie or asking Chabat.
기시기 아니 일치바 아니 차르니 아니 송송 아니 양 르바 양 아니 송송 제산데 일치바를 르바 아니 첼레기 차네 아니 일치바다 아니 셈바디 아니 잡으르베 양 르바
이제 아무도 왔으면 군동같이 소화세 유시 셈바세 일치바 좀 르바
일치바 제산 일치바 아니 숭요베
일치바도 셈바니
레레 데니 다
그니 더우요
아니 레코디 아니 숭메바 플러스
일치바
다
숨바 그 셈바다 숨바다 시바니 거들래
플러스 숨바다 나 숨바다 시바
시바
레코 숭메바
레고메
라 레레
레고덴 그니 데스 카가와
now it is intention, the mental factor of intention, and the mental factor of mental engagement that resemble one another, where there are similarities. Leave out contact. Meant here are similarities between intention and mental engagement. think of intention as the more general inclination of the mind toward the object. The mental engagement as mental factor is a more particular instance of the inclination of the mind toward a particular object.
네 심중 그게 대샤 다들만 계산 저도 지와 먼저 다 검자에 거리 검자에 있다 계산 가서 가르쳐서 계산 뒤도 살았다 먼저 따님도 살았다 따님도 살았다 마셔야지 다들이 마셔야다 가르쳐 버려서 마셔 차네 아니 많이 마셔 가르치는 마셔야지 고발해서 마셔 가르치는 시어버려서 많이 마셔 차나 아니 마셔 베젤라 아니 마디 텐션 보이 버려 삼보월 텐션 보이 버려 삼보월 텐션 보이 버려 삼나 아니 가르치기로 했으나 아니 콜로 세디기 마디로 빼자니 세디기 마디로 하나 텐션 보이 버려 나시 아니 선제랑 마치뉴 참마 라나 텐션 보이 버려 아니 텐토도 해서.
Now we will conclude the instruction in minds and mental factors here, and then resume meditation, picking up where we left off last week. What we considered last week was neutrality, developing a mind that is neutral. This is followed by the development of the mind that is the recognition that all sentient beings have been mothers to us. Now, why is it a necessary step, the recollection of, or the understanding that sentient beings have been mothers? Without the awareness of sentient beings as mothers, then there will be no impulse to return the kindness of a mother, the kindness shown to us that the mother shows to us. Now, if we bear in mind, bring to mind the kindnesses of our mother in this life, and then connect this with the recollection of all sentient beings having been our mothers, then the impulse to repay the kindness of the mother is spread to include all sentient beings.
Oh, yeah, that setting Madiga Rana, that tension countries, temporal, tension boy, but temporal, the tension boy in the past, and setting Madiga Rangita, Punga to Chabane, Chen, and Maze Bador, and Rangipeta, Kadar Paget, Shangi, no, the same day, and then Rangi Lupet, Hazangi, Yamtava Inaya, and the color. Full Sungip Chetuva. Any mother rang beta subud other never the Chiba Chagi or the Ine Rang Luigi Toji. And you call the Sungip Chasan Chituya. Teneta Chirze Tawa in a Zetani, get Tawa in a Chitan, another Kesari, and the Buddhas, Mato Kebu Yoma, the Lava you shands it down. And it's in Yajima, Kebu Shingama, Heku Shema Yoma, Inean, and it's Pageta. Chikrala, that Pugu to somebody, Page Pamagiran, Purang, Pugu, and Nubuna, Sasha was in love with some to which you would tell it to long. I rang a trail at Jar. And it's a Namju to the cow, Pugu, I have a Namju Sadan Tamora, and it when is it Sadan Chickers that they did mark around the bed. The run so much in net 2 years and that hurry in a public chair or was. She not take us a courage of chair or rest 6 months.
아니 그 수고 코르도 아마디베 냠타 가르사네 탑샤르와 수고데 탑샤르 얘네 안 보고 그 아니 녀가 여기 보고데 다
제거래 수고 공부지네 또 공부치 뭐 맞아 탑시고 그래 아니 보고 있지도 앞에 수학이 르 당고 와다 제가 제가 보여요
다드네 아니 세와 요베 남겨르디 아니 파마기 아니 가르땡기요르 대표는
계산해 계산도마다 보고 마케도 게 보고 그런데 자라는 자첨부지 나고라 얼마고 좀 랭기로 와 이나지 보고 주라는 수부주 제로 줄랑 아니 랑이 배다 제로 랑 트럭 잘 아니 트럭 된 잘고 트럭에는 보고 줄고 말아 트럭도 잘고 아니 가을 남주 땡고 와 어디지 지기 열에서
Now, how do we understand the kindness of the mother? How do we formulate that kindness to ourselves? It begins with the mother's pregnancy, and all through that pregnancy, the mother is kind to that child, in every way protecting the child in their womb, being sure not to take too big of steps, but to take many small steps, and to not eat foods that will harm the child. The mother has already during pregnancy sacrificed herself and her life for the well-being of her child. And then with the birth of the child, then there's nothing that child is good for. It moves its hands and it cries, and that's all that it does. But to the mother and to the father, it's inestimably precious, the child. And immediately the mother draws the child to its warm chest, for the child requires warmth. And then in every way, the mother and the father are delighting the child with facial expressions and all that is required to delight and keep the child well.
Oh yeah, then that is that doing it. Pingy Yabuchin, is you watch what Momayina, we get out, who would not Kagi. Miss Samal with Jimba Jabaka, La Vechibu. And a canal color to the Rangi, take it to the Tegra. And Pugula never chona, Susul never chona, simply chair cigarette. Pugula Sumia to the Tapshi Rangi, Subuchadan Lutan, Rangi, you know, Lutan, Pugusum give cigarette, or the take a rich escort.
Now, conditions are different now, but in the past, the mother would even lick the mucus of the child's runny nose to clean the child up, and would naturally use her own hand to clean up the mess of the child wetting itself and messing its diaper. And also the mothers have fed children from their mouth with their tongue, feeding the child with their own tongue. And in every way, the mother is always sacrificing herself for the child. If there's any harm that might come to the child, the mother will insert herself to protect the child, sacrificing everything in wealth and her very own body.
Oh, yeah, take that Rangi Tachi by Lene, but around the other Kiba, condition and Madi Donna Tan, and it's you would tenant to the Trunko at the Jerry. Service as one.
That is conscious.
The Rangi Tasu would so to that Kange Mayoma, Devoya, is a Kangata Madi, Koganam Juliet, Madi to the Suzu Market, not on Tasin, and then Roger Dewa. Oh, Temazeta, Ma. Yabu, is it Madi Yabu Mavayina? And then Rang Yaman and Chuna, you shall Yaman and Vaket and Yaman Tawuma, you shall was not to Tawota, better the Rantama, the Chumati, and the Madi got into the Chua Roaso.
The mother has done everything to nurture her child, to bring it everything in the way of happiness and gladness and safety and nurturing. And the child always looks to the face of the mother for that which it needs. And if the mother wasn't originally kind, then she would have thrown the child into the sea, or she would have neglected it entirely and abandoned it. Otherwise, the mother has been kind to the child.
Oh, yes, that's Maggie. Sevegi, it is young men, and then also better higher for your maris, by Yamana, the Chachu, the Yamana Sinjig, New Jay was around the Surma to what the region, so that they come like cutting Chimbuchi, John, Tata Hata, Yoga. And it's ordinary massing it again, Mazu so country job was enough. We might chigla, Mazu so just job with Nuba Chen, by John was, said not Madi. 가리 친구이 뭐 탱고에 이제 삼무당사 들리지요. 그래서
어떤이 아니 자단 시요 된서기 아마 된서기
하고 말이나
좋아 맞아
하고 말이나 그래서 이제
라
세 야면은 지시비 심제사를 야면은 자주 그 가정 가서 동해 친구 책으로 와. 제가 동해 책 맞추고 지금 송겹chen 겹쇼라 이제 딱 간다 아마 생각이 되게 가지고 미니만 찍나 가지고 속 살이 야스 겹에게 유배까지 제어해서
지zan이 니베지라 아니 아니기 아니 차르 아니기야 아니 숨겹 체기 기죠 그래
어쨌든 그러다 가서
로충진인데
어다 제 보고 지지들어 와.
그래
친구들도 거야 말아.
라
나 중도 잡아 니만 찍라야.
라
속 살이
라.
야죠.
라라라
왜 이제까지 제어해서
라라 아니 지역이 심이다 키기를 된서 라야 아메기 베카진 좀 뭐라 소소기
말마
이게 줄라
하면 아니 이게 가
맞아
근데 밤에 따고 맞아 버리나
그래
아니 그 semjegi 강에 태를 semjegi 사실을 동시에 아니 셈베스 아주
네 심신기 아니 보고 된 요기래
누구로 와
네.
누구로 제가 내 마주 와서 송교 제바로 와 제가 대대 가면 싸움로 땅도 잡아 가르치었으나 근데 니만 찍 나는 것도 소 살이야 미직 소 살이 찍 없는 것도 쉬우자 좀 찍으러 와 다음에 소 야금 니만 찍은 소 야금 밖에 안 걸었어 제가 다 제가 가르치 보러 와서
there is no kindness greater than the mother's kindness and greater than the mother's love for their child, and the mother's protection of the child through her love is the protection that each day more than 100 times saved the life of that child from harm done by other animals, from birds and dogs and other animals harming the child. The mother intervenes and protects the child. In a day, 100 times, more than 100 times each day, the mother protects the life of the child. And anytime a person has 100 times in a day protected your life, you naturally see that person certainly as a kind person. So it is the mother in any given day protects the life of the child hundreds of times.
뭐야 다 아니 대시 자단 개버 중요이지만 이내 다 안다 마승이들랑 가진 친구 이በ도 주제 앞에는 빼만 보여서 뭐지
Now this isn't some scholarly argument, but this is a substantial proof of the kindness of the mother.
자 맞아 마디 가진 친구 가진 마디 텐텐 지도라 가만히 검자고서
Now, to recall this kindness of the mother, we're going to meditate upon the kindness of the mother.
다 세대게 아마데라 나는 가진 친구 이바디 굉장히 상로탄 아니 대이나 아니 심제 탐제랑 가진 친구래 아니 심제 탐제라다 왜 가실 야가제 가실 누가 저는 이게 뭐도 심제 탐제랑 말 가진 친구 이 삼어 코멘트를 해서
So now then, understanding the kindness of our own mother, and then extending this with the recognition that all sentient beings have been our mother, and therefore our sentient beings have been kind to us as mothers, and that there isn't some subgroup among sentient beings that are worse and another that are better, but that they all are of a kind, having been our mothers. We meditate on this, on the kindness of all sentient beings as mother.
어예 당한도 가만히 심제 탐제랑 가진 친구 마디게 세대게 마디 규제 빼되게 삼로 따는 심제 탐제랑 가진 친구 이봐 가만히 공부를 해서
So now for a minute, with the awareness of the kindness of this life's mother and the further realization of all sentient beings as our mother, then with that, the recognition that all sentient beings have been kind to one, then we meditate upon all sentient beings kind as mothers to us.
어이 가만히 인다
1 minute, here we go.
가만히 공부 이거 당하는 거냐고
Now, if you have your eyes open and meditate, that's good.
아무튼 심제 탐제 하기 마 이봐 다 이봐디 아니 겨랑이 겨와로 통하면 다 겨와로 통하면 아니 마게 랑 심제 되게 마체 마뇽하다 되게 마체 뇨게 되게 판념이야 마체잖아 아니 세되게 마다 지과 체여 봐 어디 인생 삼았다는 삼보다 해서
Then it is that births have been innumerable, born again from beginningless time. All sentient beings have been our mothers. So innumerable are the past lives that there's no sensible notion of some sentient beings having been mothers while others have not been mothers. All have been mothers. And if all have been mothers, then their manner of mothering has been no different from the manner of our kind mother in this life. And so it is all sentient beings have mothered us with kindness as our mother has. Now, if there are any doubts or if there's something that isn't clear, we can use our Q&A now. Now let's hear it if you have a question.
세디가 마들을 막 두자잖아 가르쳐서 야고잖아 가르쳐 줘도스 제산단 마싱이 그 가린 되지 삼나 아니 어때 두고 지주주에 있나고 두고 지주가 쓴 봐도 아니 야고도 가도 두고 제외 차지 요때 있는 야가 제외 차지 요잖아 거기 삼도 아니 마가 제 셈도 도야 개발시다 요래서
Now, last week there was the question raising a concern of the case of a mother who had been unkind, and what one would do if one's mother had been unkind. Then we recognize that there are times when the mother has been unkind. There have been too necessarily the times when that same mother has been kind. The focus upon instances of unkindness, that preoccupation should be maybe reduced, and a deliberate recollection of the instances of the kindness of that mother deliberately called to mind, so that the aversion to the mother that is caused by concentration upon the negative events is reduced. Now, if there are no questions, then we'll slowly close with the closing prayers.
So it made me think about when you have an intention and you, when I thought I'd done it with like my heart, sometimes I find out that the impact is negative. And it's only recently that I've become aware of like there's intention, but then there's impact. And so when you were talking about intention being different, action of intention being different from action of intended, is the intended part the part where we are grasping or doing things really for ourselves?
Nasıl hani sandalye kebar di gala sunde zambala di pedi hani pe yamena ngarangi chane hani ngarangi chetande hani sim korso hani chetande susege ningala hani chorwa keyagi hani sembadenje 아니 그렇게 하면 좋아. 닝라 아니 초를 아니 랩투브에게 아니 뭐라 그래. 레와 양면은 꾸농 레와 양면은 꾸농데 아니 랑네로 덴지 최고 아니 최고 베김슨 디삼네 아니 닝가라 초라 아니 랩투브 얘기 꾸농 덴지 랑네 근데 레게디 체 차르네 레게디 체비기 룸제디 아니 마페야 펜보 마종와 되게 잡라 되게 독초 아니 누바 켈 송와디 하거네 이 펜도 체 더바다 아니 슈라 아니 누바 켈 송와 되게 개발 아니 셈벨레당 삼벨레게 개발당 라보르베 아니 누바 켈 송웨 누바 켈 균센데 고베 균센데 I mean, Gudi, and the doctors in the law did it. They did something to keep it there. This is a big question.
제가 딱 이게 좀 저랑 배낭 아주 300 레데라 저도 무신이 요래서
우리 요라는 무신이라.
저 300 레데라 저도 무신이 요래서 맞아.
그래서
저도 무신이 요래서 저외가 둘라 아니 상업에 타고 양무시가도 좋아도 되게 용으로 와.
그래.
와 배낭도 미지를 내가 끼어도 쉬고 삼나 샘난 배 담보 꼴로 그 좋아하게 삼는 땅도 잡아 배다 거기 되게 따다 세고 왔삼 야 밖에 무시 내가 날 맡아요 아니 지금 여기 자와 지도 잡아 야 따가 지마도 왔다 야샘 좋아도 되게 용으로 와.
그래.
이거 되게 용거 그다 무시다 좋아하니 테스트 쳐버지 와래 지금
Even in the intention, even in the action that is intended, the action that is intended may undergo some change, or it has its features. It has features. One of which is the preparation, and then there's the implementation of the action. So in preparation, preliminary to the implementation of a formulated plan, such as I'll get that person, that they have it coming, and I'll get them now. That's the intention. But then when one goes out to see to it that they get what's coming to them, when one isn't able to do it, or you have a misgiving, a change can occur in that process. So there are these, the preparation and then the implementation of an action.
배낭도 두관도 레우드나 두관에 배당 뭐 300톤에 다들 콜레스 하고 세월다 삼 양코 거기 레드서 뭐 양코 가다 삼삼 뭐시기 삼 꿀lungu 담고 꿀lungu 들어 삼로 되게 들어 그리고 세워 삼 꿀lungu 땅 산에 양 뭐시 세가라 몰라야 세 마투바다 양또 셈 교와시 마세바 되게 용으로 와서 고 거기 내주 도 교와도 되게 용으로 와서.
Whereas when the mosquito lands and there's the intention to kill the mosquito, when it comes to the execution, then the one has thought, I'll kill the mosquito. One might not succeed in killing the mosquito. One might not be able to. It might happen that one doesn't kill the mosquito.
제가 저 꿀lungu 담로 나는 숙청부 유난 저 무시 하게 자월을 주주서 뭐야 교와줘야 돼 요구도 왔어 양 가시 모두 가도 숙청부 매나야 저가 가도 숙청부 내야 되는데 요구를 해서
얘네야 니버디
무시 빼나 가서 빼나 미도질 저번에 미세야지나 당고도 미디베스 다 당고 세야 근데 세고 삼로 땅 자리체 망고적으로 와 이게 좋아로 와. 당무시 곧 세야 지도를 딱 저도 농구인에서 흉구인에서 가서 쉬면 고박을 누가기 자원모수 지도 단 레도 모수 덤바와 여기 레 차바와 다 제가 무시가도 숙청부에 나야 좋아가도 숙청부면요 양 무시가도 숙청부에 나야 좋아가 숙청부지들이 연구를 와서
So the intensity of the preliminary intention may be followed by execution that is unsuccessful, or execution during which time the intention changes. When one intends to murder another, one may have the intention to murder the other, and then in the execution falter. In the execution have misgivings. So there may be intensity in the intention followed by changes in the execution, or there may be very little in terms of intensity in the intention and then a full follow through in the execution. So is that along the lines of your question?
No,
Then you double mud it.
tells me that if I have thought or if I haven't that probably the impact will be negative, even though.
자원을 잘 시에서
Joan Jarne Stongae.
배당 가서 지금 수수비 레 거리네 배당 가서 레 개와요를 미개다 근데 지금 랑게 미지를 배당 팬 토야게 자와 채워 이내 삼단 배자는 시에지로 양 수수 밀 뇌배 자와 채는 배자는 시에 네 선생님 가서 자세해서
Perhaps if you if you describe the kind of situation you have in mind with details, for instance, you wish to harm a given person and then the execution of it, some non-virtuous intention and action, or you wish to benefit a person and then there's the execution and particulars of an example might clarify this for me.
Hospitality or gift, and the impact hurt them. Like they were offended that I said no.
그래서 아니 미치기 아니 진다 제거 아니 랍네 갈 진다 제거 니 제거 랍네 아니 게 뭐고 된데 아니 진다 제디 까네 아니 바로 봄이데 아니 심폭 드라이드 직책.
But my intention was to harm them. It was just to say, I don't want this.
다들 니 군론데 니 드버디 아니 네버 키야야 되는 말와 아니 얘네한테 잘라디 먹어야지 아니 갱기 아니 까봐인바 얘네 네버 키야서
그래서 파ጆ를 그때 너버 계스 배는 거 하나 파조물 네버와 너버 계스 굴ung도 지금 굴ung지 걸 당번에 네도 너버 진도 굴ung지 걸로 와 다이네 콜라 너버 겐도 삼바도 요마래 모두도 요마래 이네 더 콜라 말레메인다 코선나 마데오 차기와 이네 마데오 차기를 마도 딱 가지고 저와 차상 상을 내가 차기와 말했어 이제서 다진 거기 난진지를 더 돼가요 내가 난진이 좀 좋아하는 시가로에 보고 돼서
So now in this particular case, there was no intention to harm. You did not think beforehand, I would harm this person. It was experienced as it was for the person experienced as an unpleasant event, but you did not intend it to be so. For an action to be deliberate harm, it must be complete in all of these characteristics, that there's the preliminary intention to harm and then the execution. This instance isn't complete in all of those. Now you mentioned self-grasping also. How does this fit in?
What do you think?
Well, if I see that they turn my no as hurtful, and I'm thinking, oh no, they think I'm trying to hurt them, am I self-grasping at this person having a certain kind of experience with me.
Oh, listen, just for clarification, do you feel, you must feel
I feel remorse.
remorse, discomfort?
Yeah, discomfort.
Mongo labi kingi midi photo draw ani draw gadwa ani aka te photo draw sons tampadi ani te ngarang ngegi ani da zingi logi wangi ani chora di ani lab yogre kaisen ngarang ani da zimbe lodi ki wangi midi po tuk draw di zene aka ale midi tes devo me bachaso then di ane marangi sora ane kyonangdi ane da zingi wangi ane jungi yogre
이 단지 왕이 중에 차고요. 단지 왕이 중앙에 열어봐. 단지 왕 중앙에 열어. 그러니까 미 파종mol라 단기 랜드 매봐. 아니 그 가다 교회지 따지네. 걸 말레바 있나? 단지 왕이 자기로 와. 아 교회 왕이 매봐지. 아니 걸 직 거기 수수기 거기 잘라라 단지다 되게 매봐지. 안 잘라들 안 먹어지. 아니 파종은 때서는 말레바 있나? 콜라야 단지공 개말와 콜 현자 개요 말와 이 말에 이내야 현자 왕이 요요 이내 가가 현자 왕이 자그 말했어 어디서
신샤로 아니 바로 보기 잘라내라
만지 왕
그래
만지디 왕이 자그 말와 만지 왕이 매바 빼는 만지 삼로 매jo지기 양 파종고 잘라말레가 용거로 와 만지 요요지가 잘라내면 용거로 와 제대니가 요초로 와서
it isn't necessarily the case that in the con and mogos lavne and the horobomidi and növe nezati hagone and it's sort of medebo than the jungne and the garachin jungres and the doctor zingi logi wangi jungres
단지로 중요해요. 단지로 중요해요. 이내 강가 중화로 해서는 강가 말이 이제 망보여로 와. 강가 단지 오고 중화로서네. 가지 단지 매조들이 말레 거 물어와. 그래서 단지 오기 중요해 곧 간제 고 말레 거 기제대 수수기 삼라와 대변지 삼로 땅에는 단지 오기 중화로 와. 다음에 콜 때고되게 말레 거 아선 다음에 수를 간지들이 되어 와. 가시야 간지 매버치네 말레 거 물어와.
이는 kyonang den any jung any kyonang jungkin yena any dog in the lodi yoboro
아주 여러
didn't 내가 들어
어디 코랑 가는 게 제시자데 망불 제시자로 와 거기에는 코랑 좋아 찍을 수도 와 제가 안지 교나建议지다 맞이지 니 요청으로 와서 다 교나建议지는 교나 계디 아니 안지로 계레스
now the event of declining an invitation or declining something someone offers hasn't necessarily got to involve self-grasping. There will be individuals who decline something that's offered who have no self-grasping. And then there are those who decline something that's offered who have self-grasping. Now it may well happen that if something is offered to a person and they aren't looking for any sort of gain, they aren't looking for any sort of advantage, and they don't conclude that that which is offered doesn't increase their advantage, and then therefore they decline it, but decline nevertheless. Those individuals don't have self-grasping and they decline. So there are such events that are perfectly plausible. Then there are those who have self-grasping who when they decline something might have some notion of an advantage or disadvantage involved in accepting or declining something, who look at that which is offered in terms of its value or the like. So there are both of these are possible. The feeling of discomfort in your particular case, the feeling of discomfort in this event likely indicates self-grasping, but my point in speaking to
other situations in which an individual declines something, and that not necessarily entailing any sort of self-grasping is just for accessibility, so people understand that there are both imaginable individuals who receive something, who decline something and have no self-grasping, and those who decline something and do have self-grasping.
Yeah,
It didn't quite address it. 이제는 따따 직도 가보도.
and Nanjing losing that cook and then Jalalini Maduva Sibu Lavina, Maduva Telata, Nanjing Jimmy Yoko Midwa.
문들어봐야.
Penangaze, big Jalati, Ani Leni Madui Mini Gurua. Chigita Nanjing low only, cigarette, Yanazilo Major taking it years and 80 things.
No, the when something is offered, having no desire to receive it, I think that both individuals with self-grasping can plausibly have no desire to receive something in a given instance, and also those without self-grasping. I imagine that both can find themselves in that scenario and not wish to receive that which is offered. That's just how I'm thinking about it. No, if there are no others, then we can close with that first.
Yeah,
Now, time is coming, we'll recite the closing verse.
Rendo bele soni kadar yamba kashi sabo lome mare ge don gowai namre gewe ombor da girje derma sumbe zera kundu yang jambe yangi zewe jesone tembe remba kunsan lamgi jo yene robe gena nije jo rangi jishin tobe lamgi ne shudra tsewe rangwe dabge robe yigi mumba sejene yewe temba yurin zigurji temba renjin choge madyaga kyagyan nyambar girve chode Ninje jembu yega kebayi Tende teje sawara jebara so Seje gyawe mejun chelele Leru janju lamge remle gyan Hadu nange yela vergeje Gyawe zewa vindu yungyurje Lanzan drobe dugin dojeje Yegin seje medan mimelu Sera gundu gyawe mabayi Namda landa jawar magirji Kanze tekwa jola jujuji Sujin rula tumba deyize Tuten namge tatu rojeji Kaji gyazo chungu chungu. From my two collections, vast is space that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of the paths of the complete teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings, with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I hold Buddha's teaching for a very long time, with my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined. May I offer this treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time by following the complete graduated path of enlightenment and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity
and make things conducive for practicing the excellent path, never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path, praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.
Gauge
Yes, Sabe Gewandi, Tendang Robo, Kunla, Gambendang, Paran Jason, Losan Jabai, Temple Nimbo, Jindu, Seji Shon, Kanji Jawe, Korwe, Shinkandir, Tendang Dewa, Maru, Jubene, Jeres Dewan, Dending Yazoye, Shabe Sidi Bardu, Tengiruji, Jambe Babo, Jendar Kimbana, Kundu Zambo, Deyan Legende, Eda Gungi Jesu Dalajir, Gewa Dida Tanji Radu, Tusum Shebe Gewa Tanji, Mawa Kangwa Chodu Mabad, Dagi Gewe Tawa Tigan, Sambo Chushir Radu Mawari. Tusen Chorin Boje, Maye Banam Yirji, Gewa Nyamba Mebaya, I dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drapa the Shining Perfect. In a land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful, generous, tinting Gyatso. Please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Manjushri and Sabandhavajras do, realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all of these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious thus gone ones of the three times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva deeds. May the supreme jewel of Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more.
All right, good night.